So, looking at Bitcoin here, for those who aren't familiar, I've said for a while that 14K would be kind of an ultimate double top. Now, if you go back, so if we're looking at the 4-hour now, if I pull back and pull up the weekly, for instance, you can see the last big run. See how we maxed out right over here, right at 14K. So I said 14K would be the ultimate top for this bull run. Those who have been paying attention to my analyses, I call this bull run flawlessly, in part because of my Stoke model. And that Stoke model right now is telling me we're about to get into a big correction. Now, I explained to the group how this coincides with the election, and we have some fundamentals at play, and we might actually see the election facilitate that big dump if it goes a particular way. That said, since we're at the max here at about 14K, I don't want to focus too much on Bitcoin. Instead, I can more or less ignore Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to get much higher than this 14K level. There is a possibility that I explained in my live stream where we could get into another extended run, but most likely because the Stoke right here, if you look at the Stoke oscillator, we're maxed out and we're overbought. So we're definitely going to have to come back down. If you check every other wave here, right? So on the way up and down on the Stoke, see the exact same thing on the price. Up and down, up and down. The Stoke model is a flawless predictor of late on price action. So with that said, we are almost certainly going to be coming back down. But there are some opportunities in the meantime. Since we're sort of at this max right now, since we're sort of at that 14K ceiling, I'm going to more or less ignore Bitcoin and focus instead on some of the alts. So on like ONT, for instance. ONT, if you look at the, you don't have to worry about the chart because I have, I'm zoomed out. There's all sorts of stuff on there. If you look at the Stoke, we are oversold here, and we're most likely going to make a solid bounce up. We have a reset on the Stoke and the RSI. Both oscillators are reset. We're in perfect position to make a big bounce based on the weekly, so we could get a really solid run on some of these altcoins. If you look at the daily and the 4-hour, you have confluence across the board. So if you look at the Stoke, for instance, here, we bottomed out on the Stoke, right? And then we went up, back down. So we had that up bull run, back down retrace, and now we're starting another push up. That push up can go up to 47, 48, maybe even as high as the 55 EMA, which could be an 8 or 9% gain. So there are plenty of opportunities on the altcoins here, short term and midterm, even though Bitcoin looks like it's going to be making a pretty big move down over an extended period. I still think, again, if we look at that extended Bitcoin analysis, based on the weekly and based on the monthly, we have bearish confluence on both of them. I just showed you the weekly, and now check out the monthly. The monthly suggests that if we do turn down here, right, following the election, we just started a new monthly candle. If that monthly candle, since we just started at 14K ceiling, if we don't break above that 14K ceiling again, we can start a downtrend that's going to last 6 to 9 months potentially. So be prepared for that. But in the meantime, there are tons of opportunities with the altcoin market. That's why I specifically showed you ONT, but I can show you any of these things. I just got into a trade on MTL, on WEN, on IOTA, ADA, IOTX. There's plenty of opportunities here in the short term. Again, if I go down to the 4-hour, you'll see IOTX had a really strong reset and we started to push up. Now we've maxed out. It looks like we need a short-term correction, but there's a really strong local trend line here, so I'm pretty confident that's going to hold. I'm up a little bit right now. My stop loss is well placed enough that I can't lose that much even if the price comes back down. So as long as we can break up above this trend line resistance, we should be able to make a solid move in IOTX. The only key here is that on this retrace, because the Stoke is really high, it has to come back down a little bit. As long as this base trend line holds, we're in a great position. A lot of the alts look like this, and almost every altcoin shows a reset on the daily, as does Ethereum. Ethereum suggests that we should have right here, if I pull up ETH, and I look at the daily model, look down here at the Stoke. See right here? The Stoke just reset and bottomed out, starting to turn up. That means there's a shift in momentum. As a result, with that shift in momentum, we should be able to get up to a week to 10 days of bullish action here, and we could see upwards of potentially 420 or above on Ethereum. We could easily hit this prior top, that local top right here. And we could get even higher. So there's a lot of potential here. We could run anywhere from probably about 6 to 10 days, we should get some bullish action. After that completes, once that Stochs cycle is done, then we have to seriously consider that we're going to begin a big downtrend, and that's going to be the extended drop. Again, the monthly and the weekly are showing confluence where both of those Stochs models are in sync, and they're both telling us that we're about to see a big extended correction. It all depends on what happens with the election, though. As I mentioned in the live stream, if you guys haven't seen my live stream, definitely check it out. I just posted the link. But in my live stream, I explained that depending on how the election plays out, could facilitate the extended correction, or it could launch us into a final bullish run up before we get that extended correction. All right, let me know if you